right, welcome y'all to 2020 Vision Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Comedian Visionary Speaks, and I am so happy to be joined with an illustrious panel of guest speakers and commentators on today's subject, which is the Black vote in the Biden-Harris campaign. And we're going to be talking about a vast amount of issues. We're going to be real honest about how we feel. We all have a difference of views. And what came from this actual idea of creating a podcast was me in my timeline and seeing a whole bunch of shenanigans happening on my timeline, like most of you out there. And it just showed that Black people are so diverse, even in views of political issues or even connections to different groups and how we think we're going to make it to freedom and what we think reparations are. We just all different. And this podcast is a way to express those differences and talk about the issues, all right, and get down to the real shit. So we're going to start with introductions. My first illustrious guest on the panel is Young King RD. Welcome to the panel. Yes. Tell the people about yourself. Go ahead.
How's everybody doing tonight? What up, though? As we say in Detroit, my name is RD. I'm the owner of a lifestyle brand, IAG Statement Apparel. We've moved over 30,000 products globally so far. I also produce music and do a little bit of graphic design. Peace.
Oh, stunning. All right, y'all check him out. Okay, yeah, Nate, I had to move back too. Like, damn, 30,000. This nigga moving work. All right. So, next on the panel, illustrious King Nate. Welcome.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Nate Delmar. Y'all call me Nate. Founder and CEO of God Mode Botanicals. Coming soon. Look out for it. I got infusions, mostly honey right now, but they're delicious. I can't wait for you to try them. I also teach kickboxing classes. Are we doing classifications?
Yes, we'll do it in a second. We'll come back to it.
All right, yeah. That's it.
Stunning. All right. So let's move on down to the downward square. We got my dog, Jack. Welcome to the panel. Tell the people about yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. What up, though? I'm Jack. I don't actually have anything to promote, but, support my brothers up top. And, I think that's how we build. I think that's the perfect way to start. That's how we build. By Black.
Absolutely. By Black. That's great. That's a great illustration. And then finally, the beautiful, the illustrious Queen T, honey. Yes, holding it down for the women on the panel.
Hey.
Go ahead and tell the people.
Everybody, Queen T in the house. Not prepared, but I'm here nevertheless. I am prepared for a good debate. So that's all I need to be prepared for, right? And I have a live talk show that I do, podcast that I do with my cousin on Thursday nights. Check us out, Facebook Live on Thursday nights from 7 to 9. We talk about everything. We call ourselves relationship experts.
Absolutely. What's the name?
What's the buzz, cuz?
That's the buzz, cuz. I love it.
That's how you put it out there. She was like, I don't know what the name is yet, but I was like, she's like, I like this name, but we have an official. Now it's official. It's What's the Buzz, cuz. Go ahead, check her out on Facebook Live. It's official here. So we go check out all of them. Please support all these businesses. Of course, me as Comedian Visionary Speaks. You can find me on all platforms, the YouTubes, the Twitterlings, Instagram. You can find me anywhere where it's social media and all that good jazz. And you can also follow the movement. That is the I Am the Fear movement, which is I'm the fear that one day I will recognize my worth. Check out that movement, get involved, start to do more for yourself and not settle. That's the whole guiding of the principles. Yes. Never settle, people. We're not conditioned to settle. So let's just get started, since this conversation is a political conversation. We're all associated to some kind of a political brand or another. I will start with mine, and I consider myself, and it's changing, I'm growing and I'm evolving. When I was younger, I considered myself to be a Democrat because my parents were Democrat, and I thought the Republicans were devils. So it's evolving as I learn more about the progressives in the Democratic Party, that I'm thinking I'm more progressive than just a Democrat. So I'll say I'm a progressive Democrat. Okay, so I'll sway it over that way. RD, what do you consider yourself?
So, like you, I grew up, parents I believe were Democrats, but they probably didn't really actively participate in politics. I'm more of an independent. I don't fit in the box, but for the most part, I usually vote Democrat or progressive.
Stunning. Okay. Nate, what you got on it?
Pretty much same. My parents, especially my dad, to this day, like diehard Democrat, and will like choke me up if I try to say something else. But so on a voting card, typically I vote Democrat. So I guess on paper I'm a Democrat, but I believe that I'm a what's called an exhibitionist, which means I believe that we should all just dip in the game. We should dip.
We should dip and go where?
Well, that's what I think we need to find out where exactly we come from, and then I think we need to go to that place. Or I kind of think the thing that Akon City, when Akon was talking about Akon City, I think that would be a good idea to have a piece of the motherland for Americans or descendants of Africans that were stolen to come back to, where we can still, figure shit out by ourselves.
Akon City. I don't want to call it Akon City.
I wouldn't want to call it Akon City. Of course we would probably call it Wakanda, but
yes, forever. I'll be down with Wakanda. I'll go back to Wakanda, especially if the technology is right.
Yeah.
It
is.
We know it is. We got all the stuff. So, Jack, what do you affiliate yourself with?
So, typically I always vote Democratic because I don't hate myself, but I think I would classify myself as more of a socialist, but I'm stealing exhibitionist from Nate because I love that. We need to just be out. We don't know where we should go yet. Unfortunately, they don't like niggas anywhere. So we will have to figure out where we can go. But yeah, I'm with that exhibitionist.
We all on that boat?
Yeah.
No, damn well we don't need to get on nobody's boat no more. But all right.
I don't hate myself. I'm sorry.
Hey, I don't think Africa want us back though. Honestly, we gonna talk about that on a whole different show. But they don't like us. They like, I am African. I am no black.
I don't think that's true. I think there are some old school Africans that might feel that way, but I feel like our generations of Africans understand what the hell we do.
Sure.
I agree. We're a little more progressive. All right, T, what do you affiliate with?
I am a Democrat. I am the elder of the group. And just like you all said, you all grew up with your parents probably beating that in your head that you're going to be a Democrat, whether you want to be or not. This is, you get beat in the head about your church affiliation as well. But for me, I just like what the Democrats represent. And I know there have been some things, but hey, there's things in every party. So you can really like single one party out and say, hey, this party does this or this, that party does. They all do something. So, but I'd rather remain a Democrat. I still see a lot of positive things with Democrats, and I won't change my affiliation.
Okay. All right. So, like, I think, and that's where I want to kind of move toward. Let's talk about the criticisms of the Democratic Party, because like we talked about before, we've all kind of been legacied into the Democratic Party, and we all have our different reasons about why we choose to stay. And there's reasons why people decide to be Republicans. And I've seen even an increase, and maybe they're just coming out in droves because of Trump, of Black Republicans. And so what are some criticisms that you would say you'd have for how the Democratic Party is run currently? Let's start with Jack this time. Go ahead, Jack. What's your criticisms of the Democratic Party?
How much time we got?
Not enough.
I think I saw a tweet that perfectly summed up what's wrong with the Democratic Party currently. The quote was, "American workers, we need help. Can we have more money or more help?" And the quote for the Republicans was no. And the quote from the Democrats was no with a gay pride flag and hashtag BLM. Because they're very performative. Like, we can have, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and them can kneel wearing kente cloth, but also they happen to be the two worst negotiators I've ever seen in my almost 30 years of life. I mean, they have and had all of the leverage during this quarantine, this COVID crisis that we're going through, and yet everything that they are talking about is just a performative step. Like, okay, sure, we do need a bill, but the final price tag, y'all haggling over, we talk about trillions of dollars. Like, just get a deal done and then figure it out later. Don't piss on our head and tell us it's raining. I think that elected Democrats have taken the minority vote for granted, which, to be fair, they should. I mean, they are almost guaranteed the black and brown vote, but that's our fault for letting them get away with saying all the nice platitudes and holding their fists up and doing all the rigmarole, but not actually implementing policies that positively affect minority communities, specifically Black people. So yeah, I think that's the succinct way of saying what's wrong with the Democrats.
Okay, so you're not with the shuck and jive.
Nah, I'm not.
Okay. All right. Well, I saw T over there. She like.
I'm just so much older than everybody, and I can tell because when you guys talk, like, I'm trying to see exactly where you're getting your research from. There are so many. I mean, you first of all, you lump all Democrats in one category. I hate when people lump people in one category and then say they didn't do. In every party, you're gonna have some that wants to do and some that don't want to do. They're gonna have disagreement. So you can't say that, and you can't say that they make empty promises and things like that. There are policies there are things that you can't. I'm not a politician, so I'm not into politics like that, like you guys maybe. But what I don't understand is why so many young people think that Democrats make promises that they can't keep, and where do the Republicans make promises that they can keep? And I want to know the difference.
Okay.
So
I think that's. I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think that's part of the issue. Is that when it boils down to it, there's really no difference. I mean,
Right.
there's obviously huge differences, but when it boils down to the nitty gritty of who gets in office, you're not really seeing. You see a lot of people talk about, I'm going to do this for the black folks and for the gay folks, and I'm going to do all this stuff for every 4 years. The same thing, and that's why I kind of understand why people kind of flip flop from each side. Because from this side, it seems like, okay, nothing's happening. Let me try this side, and you're gonna be on this side and be like, nothing's happening either. That's why I say we should all get out of here. But that's
So how do you make that decision then? Because you can't just all build now.
Not yet.
So why not?
Not that.
This is how you make a decision. Until I find out exactly where I'm from before colonialism, I either choose between a shit sandwich and a goat sandwich. I choose the one that's not going to give me the least amount of signals. And for now, right now, it's the Democratic Party.
All right. So, RD, what do you have to say about that?
It's like Jack said, how much time do I have, right? So to a degree, I definitely agree with them that they waffle way too much. They're trying to please, but they also don't have the advantage that the Republican base has, right? I think on the right side, they agree collectively a lot more than we do on certain things, right? So they want their taxes lowered, right? there will be somebody that's only slightly a racist. They'll be like, I'm not a racist, but hey, I'll vote for Trump because I want my taxes lowered. Whereas on the Democrat side, you know, everybody's having a constant moral superiority battle between each other to say, okay, I'm more righteous than you. If we do it my way, you know, it'll come off better. And then there's another side that's always trying to push back toward the center to get something a little bit more realistic. So if anything, them being all over the place and them not having a backbone to just make a decision and roll with it is my issue more than anything.
See, I don't look at it like having a backbone. I look at it like somebody that's trying to make sure the middle class and the lower class people get taken care of just like the higher class. So you got these rich class, well, Republicans are known to be the rich people. So you say you got these people who are talking about lowering taxes. They talking about lowering taxes for the rich people. They ain't thinking about us. That's why they can agree faster than us. So we can't agree because we're trying to take care of everybody, which is the majority. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't say that they make decisions quicker and it's only, and we don't make them fast enough. It's only because we're trying to take care of too many people. A lot of people, that's how I
think the Democrats cast a wide net of who's in the party. You know, that's how you can get progressives over here like AOC, and then you get people over here that's totally different like Biden, and then you get some people in the middle. It's because the Republicans have, like he said, a straightforward idea of what we represent and who we are. And the Democrats kind of are all over the place. It's kind of like when you give the microphone to everybody gonna come to the mic, you know. And I got an opinion too, and everybody gets heard, and nothing sometimes gets done because you're too busy trying to adhere to everybody. And in the same token, there are people who aren't gonna get heard, as the Black community feels, and there are people who feel like things aren't happening quick enough. So when you give everybody a chance to say, hey, I want to say something too, of course, everything's not going to get done. And most of the time, nothing gets done.
So if I can rebut, so if I can rebut just real quick, I agree with you totally, right? But at the same time, you know, we got this age-old saying in the Black community, you know, I don't need too many cooks in the kitchen, right? It's Tuesday. We making tacos. If tacos turn you off, if tacos frustrate you, if you hate sour cream, don't come to dinner Tuesday because you're going to get tacos. That's what we make. They have to be firm in pissing off some of their left and pissing off some of their centrists sometimes in certain decisions so we can get things done. Because at the end of the day, the majority of us are a little bit more upset at the system than who's standing on top of it. And they don't sell that enough.
Absolutely.
Okay, I get you. I'm with you on that.
So I think I think there's another couple issues that don't necessarily get talked about as much. One is we have a two-party system, but it's really essentially at this point far right and now center right. I mean, the Democrats in any other developed democratic nation on this earth would be considered a right-wing party. Bernie Sanders, if we were in England, would be considered like kind of just a regular dude. Like he wouldn't be seen as this crazy person with all these wild ideas. Pretty much all of his ideas have already been implemented in the UK. So I think that there's a disconnect between the type of politicians we elect and what we, especially as a collective, as Black people, actually believe, because these quote unquote progressive policies that we really want to be a part of our discourse are run-of-the-mill things that every other developed nation on this earth already does. You know, universal health care, you know, public schools that aren't garbage, you know, job protections during, you know, pandemics, things of that nature are already part of their makeup. And over here, you know, yes, we think the Democrats are left, but remember the average age of Congress is like 60. The average age of the Senate is like 65. Our president is 70 something. The other dude running for president would be the oldest person to ever be president. And I don't mean to try to sound ageist, but old folks,
She ain't that
especially
old. Don't
folks
let her fool
that
you.
folks,
Now you gonna
especially
put me
that
up there
old,
with the president.
folks
Now you
especially
see
that
it.
old have way more conservative views about what should be done to take care of other people, whatever their actual political affiliation is. We got a whole lot of pick yourself up by your bootstraps, folks, in Congress and the Senate especially. But ain't nobody. Most people don't even got boots, let alone bootstraps to pull themselves up by at this point, and that gets lost. We're not really represented by a true representative sample of the country. It's a bunch of old white people.
But you know, I hear that all the time from young people, and I continuously say, well, then what are you going to do about it? We have to get out there and get in office. We can't just sit up and say, oh, it ain't nothing but a bunch of old white dudes always. No, we got to go out there and do something about it. I was just talking to a young man. That's what you probably saw on my page. I was talking to a young man, and he got all these, horrible things to say about what Obama did and what everybody else did before him. And Kamala Harris, and she ain't gonna be out, and just all this stuff about these older black people. And then he said, y'all, something real offensive, like y'all old heads ain't gonna get it till something happens. And I said, wow, first of all, I ain't no old head. Second of all, my thing is, then tell me what you would do. Because you want to, they want to always say, and I'm not just doing this to y'all because this young people thing. We need to unify. We need to do this. We need to do that. Okay, how we gonna do it if we can't get together? We got these young people out here killing each other. Unify where? So it starts with us. That's another thing. We always say them, they out there, that they don't represent us, but it starts with us.
Okay.
You
RD, you got a rebuttal?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm actually
You
saying
did.
this. So, I'm going to be all over the place. Y'all going to be like, what side is this dude on? But
No, yeah,
that's
it's like that.
my
We're
thoughts ain't-
multifaceted.
Yeah.
That's like, right? I don't see enough, as we say in Detroit, boss up in this in politics is from our younger generation, right?
Sure don't.
Think about the Democrats still in the election from right the first time, right? Cool. The second time, his marketing, his branding, his meetings before the meetings were weak and non-existent in some territories, especially in Detroit, where we got influence in certain black organizations. And he ain't come to the meeting at the house or have a representative even pull up to the house and say, hey, this is what I'm planning, this is how I can serve y'all, etc. He just kind of went off his main internet flow and marketing and branding or whatever, which is cute, but that's not necessarily gonna get boots to the ground, right? So the progressives didn't come behind him in South Carolina and all over the country, right? Period. That's a and then so you can say, oh, okay, well, I don't participate in national politics, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. I only vote locally. Oh, you only vote locally, right? You complain about Kamala, right? We look in our own backyard. We got a progressive Democrat, or not even really Democrat, running for prosecutor. We have a person pretty much everybody my age and younger damn near don't like, and she's still in office. And it's more us than it is the 20%, 50 to 65 voting. It's like a 420,000 vote block. Only 200,000 showed up. So if 25 to 45 got out and showed their ass, then Kim Worthy wouldn't be the prosecutor anymore. So we can't claim that we want things so progressive if we're not willing to show up and mobilize and get it done and have the meetings before the meetings.
So
I agree.
preach to that. Okay, so just a follow up to that, how do we engage the younger community? Because we've all seen that little post of if black people would have voted, then Hillary would have got this many votes. All that stuff. How do we engage our community? Because one, we are skeptical. We can tell that a lot of people don't trust the system. They don't trust politics. Some people feel like Jack, like it's either way, we not getting heard. there's that lesser of the two evils conversation that we keep hearing, and that doesn't engage the people. And I've even had some people tell me, I'm not gonna vote. If I feel like I ain't gonna be heard either way, I'm not gonna vote. So there is a outcome to all of those situations that we need to figure out a way to engage our community and make them want to vote, even though we know that there are some discrepancies in both parties, and there's some discrepancies in the issues that we're talking about.
So if I go ahead, Jack.
I was just gonna ask, does anybody remember the first time they learned about what voting was and how it worked in the country?
Probably
We got sold a dream.
You said what?
We probably got sold a dream, but yeah.
We've been
Schoolhouse Rock.
let us stray.
Schoolhouse Rock. Okay. Just a point about like how do we get younger people involved with like local politics? How do we get the right people to run so that we can elect the right people? And I'm just thinking about like when I started, I don't know, really giving a shit about like any of this stuff, because it didn't seem like it really affected me, because I think the first president I was able to vote for was Obama. So, and unfortunately, my life didn't change from Bush to Obama. Unfortunately, my life hasn't necessarily changed too much from Obama to Trump. So how do I tell somebody that's younger than me that's coming up, like, you got to vote because this can affect your life, when I can't really give them proof of this affecting my life, at least in a positive way, right? Okay. So besides the optics of being able to say, like, I have a president that looks like me, and you could be president one day. So it's like, it's the education of understanding, like, what our government controls, what our government controls as far as funding, as far as like what kind of schools you go to, like what the building looks like, what parks are around the area, what your police act like, you know what I'm saying? What it all ties into. I think that's something really important that we gotta. And I'm saying that like we in this room gotta do it. I don't know.
Yes, we gotta do it.
Yeah, like everybody go grab somebody and be like, look, motherfucker.
Gotta do
it. So you brought up a dynamic that I want to address. And it wasn't how we were previously. And I've noticed that we've changed to this centralist idea of independence and not community. One thing that I see with the Democratic Party and some of the initiatives that Obama put forward were kind of helpful to those of lesser fortune than us. Because if we acknowledge the elephant in the room, most of us are college educated people who probably have a little more privilege than, say, the regular person who grew up in the hood and never made it out. So maybe Obamacare did help them a lot more. And that's where I see the difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Is more of like, I'm going to help the little man. And the Republicans are like, but what about my house? What happens in my house? And somehow we as a community have also changed our community narrative to what happens in my house. You've heard it before, what happens in my house stays in my house. And, don't worry about what's going on out in the streets, mind your business, all this stuff, and how we control our mind. We don't think about our neighbor. It's not affecting my house, so I'm not going to worry about it. And we used to think like that. We used to be like, you go get a whooping when you come home by the neighbor, by the person up the street. You go get your mama, go get you, your grandma, go get you. You better be worried about your neighbor across the street too. But we don't have a community engagement where we are actually working together collectively. We're too busy being crabs in a barrel saying, what about me? How did I get affected? And why I didn't, why the rising tide didn't lift my damn boat, but there is a means to say, like, we do want to reap some of those benefits as the middle class, which is unfortunately bottoming out. There's not going to be too much of a middle class anymore. It's going to be either you on the lower class or you up. And we have to acknowledge our fault in the Black community for not being more advocates for each other and start worrying and caring and being more compassionate about people who are less fortunate than us when we decide to place judgment on who gets the resources. So I guess that's something that we can discuss, just about how which party serves us as a whole. You know,
just said it. There's no discussion. I mean, we can have a discussion, but you
Yeah.
just said it. You said the Republicans care about this higher up who has money, those who have money, and then the rest of us are left out there, and then we're the Democrats. But that's what I'm saying. Like, how would you? I don't understand why anybody would even want to vote for Republicans if that's all they care about, unless you're upper class. You see what I'm saying? Why would you even give them even the time of day, or even think about what are they going to do for you after you vote them in? That's my point. Like, I've heard so many young Black men, especially, I don't know what's going on with these young Black men, say, "Oh yeah, I'm voting for Trump. He's the blackest. No, he's done more for Blacks than any other president."
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah,
And
that's-
I'm like,
Especially the unemployment rate.
like, are y'all who her? And it's like, where are y'all getting this information from? It's like they're being brainwashed by somebody.
You know where they got it from? They got it from Trump.
And he has really brainwashed the minds. And then if you ask them anything that he's done for them, you know what they say? I mean, what did Obama do? No. That's not the question. What the question?
Why are Trump supporters so obsessed with Obama?
Right.
Yeah.
How
I
come
know we
everyone-
always got to go back to Obama. I'm like, we are not talking about Obama. We're
That's your only argument. And like, you know, fuck you for thinking I did vote for Obama, but fuck you for thinking just because I'm Black I voted for him.
right.
You know what I mean, I did. Shit.
Right.
Right.
I think it's just the criticism. And one thing, okay, so if I'm playing Godly Angels advocate, that what I hear from the Republican Party and Black people in particular, who are Republicans, they talk about financial gain, and they also talk about capitalism a lot, which means that you get whatever you get based off your merit and based off of the work that you put in. And if you don't get it, then that's because you didn't put in enough work. And they want it to be all based off of what you bring. That's why it was a big argument about what was it? The getting into colleges under the
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. Thank you. My brain is just a fog. But yes, affirmative action is the whole idea of, well, then that means you didn't get in on your own merits. Had you not been this, you wouldn't have got in. And it's just basically saying, I want to be able to be my own man, which is very independent thinking. And it's also selfish as fuck.
Right.
But that's just a mentality that I've been hearing, is that, like, I just want to take care of me and mine. And I don't want to be responsible for the person on welfare. That's what I hear all the time. I don't want to be responsible for paying for everybody who's sucking off the teat of the government. I believe that everybody should get on their own. So people who think like that think, why do I have to take care of somebody else?
I hope you'll never have to call the police then. I hope your house never catch on fire.
Right.
You know, I'm paying for that shit.
Right.
Right.
Listen, white supremacists, white people who are rich and have money like that and don't want to be bothered with us and tell us that daily. They trying to get us locked up. They trying to get us, every time you turn around, the Karens out there running and saying what we doing in the area and getting us locked up. So they're trying to get rid of us so they can have their own. They say it all the time. Go back to where you all came from. You know what I'm saying? If they had
Let's go. Let's go.
Once again, Nate is off board. Nate is ready to blast off today.
They're ready to go. But I'm not. I refuse to let them run me away.
There you go.
Yeah.
So RD, I saw your finger up.
Allow me to-
Hold on, Nate. RD, I saw your finger up first. Go ahead.
So two things. I just want to touch on your last topic and what you're talking about right now. So as far as Republicans, in some ways, yes, they are consistent. In some ways, they're very inconsistent, right? They always talk about the deficit. What do they talk about? Not bailing out people, et cetera, and they're doing all of that in
No
this
freebies.
So I don't want to hear,
freebies.
no freebies and all that when you're literally taking handouts, right? Small businesses loans that should go to me, that should go to Visionary, are going to Ruth Chris and the Lakers, right?
Right.
Hear that you're, Mr. Consistent. And then going back to, why Democrat or how can we win in general, I think, luckily a lot of us innately grow up with this street game and this street culture, and we get like how it works, when to leave a party and when to leave a situation. We understand Monopoly, right? But when it comes to politics, we get emotional instead of transactional. We don't understand that it's all a hustle. So if we approach it a little bit more from the standpoint of, okay, this is my agenda, I'm hustling, who can I play, who can I meet with, the meeting before the meeting, then we won't get our hopes up to expect this Messiah candidate out of the Democrats. And we can put pressure on a Democrat more than we need to and say, hey, look, this time around, the Republicans is promising us A, B, and C. What you gonna do for us? Because we will leave. We have to be okay with giving them that level of threat. We can't always pacify them with our vote. Obviously, they're going to always mostly be the people that we end up with because the Republicans are unwilling to mobilize for us. But that's only because we haven't came with the bag. Again, it's a hustle. If we come with the bag for either party, they will accept the bag and do what we ask them to do. But we don't have PACs. Our money into politics like that. We may donate $1, but we don't finance candidates.
Yeah, like the Jewish community and other communities that have candidates. And to that's a great segue to the topic of the Biden-Harris campaign. Because based off of that campaign, there was even a petition out for Joe Biden to endorse a female Black campaign or VP nominee. And that was based off of the heat of which I'm seeing a lot of us now. Maybe it's because of quarantine. Maybe it's because of just hundreds of years of being sick and tired. And maybe it's just, we're ready to speak out and demand things. Because I started to see, because people wonder, like, how is this movement any different than any other movement you've ever seen happen? And I think it's just the idea of I'm going to stop asking you and I'm going to start making demands. This is what we need. This is what we see happening. And in one way, it's amazing. I love to see us advocate for ourselves. That's what I Am the Fear is all about. Step up, don't settle, tell them what you need, and know that whatever you do, you are an asset. And you bring something to the table, especially for Black people. But I'm also seeing people like, yeah, I want this, I demand this, and I won't vote until you give it to me. And I'm like, wait, no, stop. That's not it. Please. I mean, we want to how do we hold them accountable, but we don't hold it against ourselves? Because it seems like people are just holding on to their vote. Like, I'm not going to give it to you freely, which is what Diddy was talking about. Don't just give him the vote. Don't just give him the vote. But in the back of our minds, there's still only 2 options in November right now. So how do we still hold them accountable, but still not vote against our own interests or not vote at all, which is also against our own interests? Right. So, Nate.
Oh, I don't have the answer at this point. I'm kind of like, fuck it, I made the mistake last, and I'll be candid in saying I made the mistake last election of voting for Johnson because Johnson was a candidate that actually, she was a big Green Party or Libertarian and stuff like that. But I was like, I'm feeling what you're talking about. And I'm not really feeling with Hillary. I'm not really feeling Hillary's past. I know her husband was on some wild stuff that put a lot of Black men in jail, and I'm not feeling it. I'm also not feeling, Trump, of course. So I'm gonna vote for who I want to. And I
go over here.
I voted for Johnson, and Trump ended up winning. And I feel partly responsible. All right. So I understand now, especially too, like how Trump feels about immigrants. And my family being, family of immigrants mostly. Like, I have a responsibility, even though I don't really fuck with everything Biden talking about, even though I don't fuck with Kamala's past, I have a responsibility to choose the lesser of the 2 evils for now. And then for the next 4 years, let's get on the grind and let's get the right people in there next time.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that, the history with, because one thing that he brought up, and I know, Jack, you'll have something on that, but what happened with Hillary and how people felt about her. They were so strong about her, that they completely let this nigga walk in unscathed, just because they wanted something new and they knew it wasn't her. It was kind of like the way that people are like, just not Trump. A lot of people were like, just not Hillary. And I'm seeing the same rhetoric a little bit for Kamala Harris, which is very unfortunate because I don't think that they're alike in all ways. I think that she has a tattered past, but what politician doesn't? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the rhetoric of against Kamala Harris at this point, and is it valid? Does it have any place in the decision-making process of whether we endorse her as a community? So let's start with T down there. What do you think?
Let me ask you this first before we move on. What's her name? Is it Kamala or Kamala?
It's Kamala.
It's Kamala. Yeah.
So like a comma. I seen somebody make a shirt and it was just comma and then la.
Okay.
Kamala.
I say it like all three ways every time I say it. Now, Kamala.
I know.
I try to
Kamala.
say it correctly, but sometimes I'm talking too fast. Yeah.
We just gonna say
Me too.
sister.
So that's
Sister.
all- I don't want to disrespect her name. Kamala.
Just call it Queen. Queen.
Queen Harris. Let's start
That's a
with
problem
Queen
too.
Harris. This girl has done more as a woman of color. Let me say that before people say she ain't black, she Indian and Jamaican. Now all of a sudden everybody want to decipher what's what. You know what I'm saying? And we don't, truth be told, all our asses mixed up. We don't know what the hell we got in us. So I hate when they say that about her. But anyway, this young lady has done so much. I'm talking about not for the black community, because it seems like to me, all black people want to say, what has she done for me? What is she, you know what I'm saying? She's done a lot to get where she is. It's hard to be a black woman in the United States of America and get as far as she's gotten. Actually, I mean, that's everybody know that because she's the first one. So my thing is, why hold her accountable about her being this prosecuting attorney to the point where you say you don't like her because she put too many. See, a lot of people just say stuff because they've heard other people say it. They don't say it because, think about it, duh. If she was a prosecutor, that's her job, first of all. Is it like to me, I would compare it to where judges have locked up one person that was white for 2 years and another person that was black for 10 years that have done the same crime. What is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to say, oh, wait a minute, honey, you're black, I can't prosecute you? You know what I'm saying? We got to think rather than sitting up just thinking, oh, look how many black men she put in. Look, I'm sure but listen, Jack, I'm sure if you ran down the record of a lot of prosecutors, you see they put a lot of black men in jail. You're not the only one. So that shouldn't be held against her, is what I'm saying. That's where I was going. Well, go ahead, Jack. Jack ready to kill me.
So no, and so before I like go in, I do need to qualify a couple of things. So yes, I will say I'm definitely harder on Senator Harris than I was on Senator Obama, mainly because when Senator Obama was running the first time, wasn't even going to be able to vote. I was 17. So clearly my views have evolved over the last 12 years. Also, it's unfortunate that the Biden-Harris ticket is going against the Trump-Pence ticket, because in any other normal, quote-unquote, election, you could have a nuanced policy discussion between the two tickets. But in this case, yes, we have to vote for Joe and Kamala. But having gone through that, yes, she was very good at her job of putting niggas in jail. But that's the problem. Why are you trying to be a part of that system that continues to perpetuate all this mass incarceration? I mean, she's the Attorney General of California. Like, everybody knows all about California prisons. They're all over TV and the media and blah, blah, blah. Why are you continuing to put people there to begin with? Now, you look at somebody like Larry Krasner, the DA of Philly, and he has implemented policies that should lead to a reduction in the amount of people that are incarcerated. That's actually progressive. Now you just like putting the back on track program which to lower recidivism, which is nice, but you also locked up single mothers for their truant children. Like you
No,
locked
she
up
didn't.
people because their kids
No,
don't go to
she
school.
didn't. No, she didn't. She didn't lock up anybody. No, she didn't. She did.
She did
One
because
at a time.
she literally apologized for it. So if she didn't do it, she apologized for something she didn't do.
She
That's
implemented
even
the
crazier.
program. That program was hers. She's the one that started the program, but it was just to get these parents, make them accountable. I work in the school system. I agree.
There are thousands of steps you can take to hold people accountable for their kids going to school before jail.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
But
we're gonna come back to it. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jack.
but I think that for Senator Harris, like, yes, I have issues with her record as a prosecutor, but she has definitely tried to make up for it with her record as a senator. So I will give her credit for that. But it's unfortunate that she is being attacked for being Black and being a woman. That should be completely out of bounds, no matter why you may or may not like her. But I think there are legitimate criticisms you can have of her, like we're getting to discuss. But I know I got to vote for her because she's going against a clown. But I think the 24 cycle is when we should really, like Nate was saying, we really need to be able to have an actual policy discussion and actually try to move these candidates to the actual left instead of just being Republican light, which is really what we're doing. I mean, we have 2 cops essentially running on the Democratic ticket. I mean, the Joe Biden crime bill, like now, yes, I have asked my parents and my older relatives, how did you feel about the crime bill back in '94? And all of them have pretty much to a man have said, stuff was bad. Like we needed things to change. There was essentially, blood running in the streets, but you have to, unfortunately, there was no forward thinking. And we forget what country we're in. Like, yes, we need to handle on crime and all the other thing, but America's just going to lock niggas up. Because that's what America does. Is America was built on locking niggas up. We need to address why crime happens. You don't need to like the whole defund the police movement. That makes sense to me because you don't necessarily need more officers walking around the street. That's just broken windows policing, which we know doesn't work. You need to address the root causes of crime, which is essentially poverty. Now you always gonna have people that don't like people and they're gonna shoot them, but people aren't gonna run up it like we're about to have a eviction crisis next week when 30 million Americans aren't able to pay their rent because of this coronavirus crisis. It's gonna be some niggas running up in people's houses because they can't eat. And it's not because they're bad people, it's because they're desperate people. And we need to really address the root causes of crime and poverty and all that other nonsense before we deal with anything, political.
And so in this
hold on, T. I want to get Nate. He been holding up that little finger.
I just want to address one thing. I promise. I'm just
okay.
Then with the whole pandemic thing, who do we blame that on? And this corona crisis, and now we've come to this. Who do we blame that on? I'm asking Jack.
Who do we blame this on? Oh, I mean, we blame it on Trump, obviously, but
okay.
I mean,
all right, we all agree.
Okay. But there were also things that governors could have done. Like, people were praising Cuomo and saying he should run for president, blah blah blah. But
oh, Jack, as soon as you make a good point.
Oh no.
They trying to take us out.
You muted.
All right, you to mute yourself, Jack. Take yourself off mute.
Are we back?
We are back.
Can we hear me?
Back.
Great.
Yeah.
So Cuomo forced old people to stay in nursing homes when he should have send them home, all these kind of things. So yes, everybody messed up, but in general, it's Trump, and everybody knows that.
All right, let's get some Nate in there. Come on, Nate.
Okay. So I disagree with the idea of just labeling Kamala's head pass as locking niggas up. I'll say this. I've never sat across from a prosecutor and thought, oh, I like her, because she was trying to throw me in jail every single time. It was not one time I sat in front of a prosecutor and she was not trying to put me in jail, right?
Or he.
For as long as possible, right? That being said, like, her job is to put whoever stands in front of her in jail for the longest amount of time possible. She's not the person arresting these people. She's not the person making these unfair laws that make it easier to arrest Black and brown people and people that are impoverished and bring them before her. She's not the person. So when I say like, yeah, that's a fucked up thing, and when I say yeah, I remember sitting in front of a prosecutor and she was a Delta, and she was sitting there talking to me like I was some kind of heathen. I was like, sister, you know me. What's up? I know that pain. I was so hurt looking across at this Black woman who was looking at me like I was a criminal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel that when people talk about like, I can't trust Kamala Harris, I feel that. I feel that where that coming from. But I also understand that woman across from me was doing the job. And I also understand it was a white man that arrested me in the first place.
Thanks.
For no reason. It was the climate of Kalamazoo, Michigan, which made it so important to come and arrest me for something that you will let a white person do in the student ghetto all night long. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really fault her for that stuff. That's, like you said, that's the system. We find the system, not necessarily that.
Yes.
Perfect, then,
That was awesome.
Yes. RD, I see your hand go up.
Yeah, so just in general, that goes back to us understanding this is monopoly. America is the streets. They just playing with corporate cash, right? We have to play the game to win. We need Black prosecutors. We need Black judges, because when we just simply do the math, whether you like somebody or not, the sentencing is way less harsh when Black people are behind it. We go to jail less when Black people are behind it, whether you like them or not. The math suggests that we need Black people representing us in those spaces as well as the liberal spaces. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You get a job, you gotta pay taxes. That's the way this country works. We want the job, but we don't want to pay taxes as far as politics and life. And that's just how it goes unless I think we got three options. We can leave this country, we can take over this country. We can take over this country, and we can infiltrate this. Or we can infiltrate, right? And just in reality, two of those are not that realistic. No smoke. Because we all want our fucking ROI. We want our ROI. We built this country. We want our money, right? So if we're going to infiltrate, then we gotta be willing to play the game to win. And you can't knock somebody when they playing the game on our behalf, even though some of their negatives are traditional white people negatives.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's exactly. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say the problem with that is, and I love that everything you just said. But the problem with that is we still got the rich white people controlling everything. Even 1%. If we're in office, we're gonna have somebody telling us how to do it. That's what happened to Kwame. What you think happened to Kwame? Kwame didn't want to do it. So them. Fuck you, I'm doing it like this. I'm taking care of my Black folks, my niggas. Come on,
right.
Y'all. And
everybody come in.
That shit, so they got rid of them. That's the only thing about us even trying to get to the point where we can have a say in anything.
Yes, so T,
they're down still.
Right, so T, I'm with you, right? Mm-hmm. We covert, because when you understand leverage, you understand that it's 13% of us, it's 84% of them. So we got to play this game to win. Kwame tried to be Young Coleman with it.
Yeah.
They not letting that shit happen again. But if we play again behind the scenes, we organize in private, to start all these fraternities and sororities before everything popped off, they went to this conference in Niagara in Canada because it's 1900s. They couldn't meet that many people meeting in the States. They went all the way to Canada, had the meeting before the meeting. Is like, look, this is what we gonna do. And then 60 years later, you got civil rights movements and all this stuff. And, Black Greeks kind of, pulling the strings behind them. We can pull it off. We just can't lead with our chest out. We got influence. We just don't have power.
Yeah, that's sad though. Isn't that sad? That's really sad. But I do.
No, we have hella influence. That's the crazy part in all of it is that we built this shit for free.
Yeah.
Like we literally built the infrastructure we're sitting on.
But
for
understand
free.
the power in that. Look, what Black people create, Black culture is the widest
That's
spread.
America. That's America.
This is America.
This is what people look around for. Hip hop is in every single country. You know why you know that? Because every hip hop dance competition is won by some German motherfucker every goddamn year. So what I'm saying is, yeah, we built the country. Yeah, we built the ship, but the ship is sinking.
And we're very influential. The most influential race.
That's what
We are, and we get the least.
Yes.
Why here we're so okay.
No, we teetering into a whole nother webcam. Like I'm going to talk about that because we do need to talk about the issues in the Black community and getting with your worth and understanding what we can do to lift ourselves. So we're not gonna go too far into that. We will come back to it though. I welcome you all to join me on that podcast about Black community. But one thing I will say about this specific topic is what I'm noticing is we're holding ourselves to a higher standard than we would any other white candidate. Like I've never seen people put Biden when he was a vice president. I haven't seen it with Pence. I haven't seen it with any of the other vice presidents.
They didn't do it to Trump either.
This Trump, any vice presidents that's come before us, I've never seen this microscope and just everything that she does. Let's look at her clothes. Let's look. Somebody posted earlier that she's not qualified because she's not American. I'm like, what kind of birtherism bullshit is this? And because
her white guy, so she don't qualify.
A white guy, it's like we don't look at. So we see a white guy and we say, "Oh, he's just white."
Right.
Like he didn't have no history. Like all of us are immigrants. All of us come from immigrants. America was owned by Indians. So none of us are from here, but yet we look at these people, and I hear from Black people like, well, what has she done? And da-da-da. Well, what did he do?
Right.
What the fuck did he do for you that's so great? What about the person, the prosecutor that came before her? What did she do that's so different from the white man that put you in jail? But you and what Nate was saying was real. When you look at a sister, you like, but sister, come on, like don't do it to me, baby. But you in the room, but you in the room. Nobody talks about that shit. Nope. So it's just like, why do we hold each other to these impossible standards of reaching? Just and even Michelle Obama says it like when they go low, we go high, and I'm like, why? I'm sick and tired of fucking going high. Everybody else is allowed to be human. They're allowed to make mistakes. They're allowed to do bullshit. They're allowed to be good people, bad people in between. But because I'm Black, I got to be the perfect citizen. I got to do it just right. I can't make no mistakes. I can't say nothing wrong because it's going to be used against me. I just want to be normal as fuck. Like, I just want to be a regular person. Why do we always hold each other to these high standards? Like, you can't do that. You can't be like that. And we treat each other in ways that we can't reach. These standards that are impossible for us to reach as people. Like, you're never Black enough. Mm-hmm. You're never good enough. You're never made enough. You're never this enough. It's like, come on.
Like, then they want to say let's unify. Then they want to talk about let's unify. We need to get together. How can we get together if we always fighting against each other? We always jealous of what somebody else has. We always, that one doesn't, like you said, doesn't do enough, or he don't have enough, or she hasn't said enough, or she put too many of us in jail, or
Obama didn't do enough for Black people.
Right. Obama didn't do enough for Black people. I argued with somebody about that. I said, what was he supposed to do?
He was in the room. Shit, that's all he had to do. He set his ass in that seat. He was able to fart in that seat. Yes. And that meant that another Black man can come in and fart right after him.
That was amazing.
I've
If
never
he
thought
governed
about
like
the fact
Trump is
Obama Park
governing,
is in that seat.
You know, I made a post about Kamala Harris, and I was like, y'all let these white VPs come in all day and they sat in that seat and they farted in that seat.
Right.
Let her come in and fart in that seat too. She got equal right to be fucked up or do good or do bad. Let her have the opportunity to shake some shit up. Whether she does good, bad, or indifferent, she was in the room. And the fact that she was in the room changes the world and the scope of things for all generations to come. They're not going to be perfect, but put their ass in the room because that means we're in the room. And maybe a better person will come, a better black person
president,
take over that spot too.
You so silly. Look, but who, like you said, who knew who Pence was? I still don't know who Pence is. I still haven't heard Pence say too much.
Baltimore.
Pence
I
is,
don't think
Pence
Pence
is
knows
horrible.
who Pence is.
Pence is
But
actually
you
a
want to
horrible
talk
choice.
about, you done like decipher.
What'd you say, Jack? Would you say that again?
Pence would actually be worse than Trump because he's not a fucking moron and could
Yeah.
actually get
Yeah.
his
Wait,
policies
say
passed.
that again. He what?
He's worse.
He's worse.
Oh,
Because he has even more dangerous like thoughts and policies that he would implement, and he's not a fucking moron that would
Mhm.
you know screw the pooch by saying the
Yeah.
wrong thing.
Yeah, what he's done to women's rights.
or
He's
or or LGBT rights in Indiana. Like
sneaky.
he basically caused an AIDS epidemic to run through the state of Indiana because of his policies. I think my thing with Kamala that it's not necessarily fair, but I think it's something that needs to be said is she's like people I think are harder on her because I don't think Joe is gonna make all 4 years. Like if Joe wins, Joe's 78 already.
Yeah.
And president is the most like vice president is the complete opposite of being the president. Like vice president was easy.
You can see
President is
Obama's
really
hair
fucking
change
hard.
completely by the end of his
Right.
term.
Right.
Yeah, just literally look at Obama's
Yeah,
hair.
You stress that
Joe
nigga
ain't
out.
gonna make it. So Kamala is really running to be the second, like the backup president.
That's why I want her to win. I mean, I want them to win because I know Biden ain't gonna do that whole term. Now, at least I know he ain't gonna make it 8 years.
There's no way on God's green earth he
I
makes
don't think
it.
he running. Yeah.
Maybe
Years.
Motherfuckers is old.
yeah, he out and he's
And they age in dog years.
in dog.
Lord. RD, you had something to say on that?
He just said it. Don't
Oh, the dog ears.
Yeah, I think in general we got to focus on leverage. I think with Kamala or whoever is in that seat, if we have some leverage on them, then let's actually use it. She's in organizations with people that she will be accountable for the rest of her life, accountable to rather. And if she leave out of the seat without getting anything done, now that we're more vocal about our agenda, then it's going to be part of her legacy. That she doesn't want that. Same with Biden, right? He was literally the second in command black man. So he's been humble after the crime bill to a degree. He also owes us some stuff. Let's play out our little 4 years. If you don't do what we ask, we just vote you the fuck out.
Right. When the house isn't burning. That's what people have to realize. The house is on fire, people. So put the house out.
All the way
And then you can decide after the house is put out and we get some people in there that's at least a little stable. Then we can start making demands. And if they don't meet those demands, and more so, I kind of feel, probably on the length of Nate's arm as well, that we need to come up with a new party, a third option.
What is it?
Something. A black option, a third option, a minority option, a something where we have we put together an actual candidate to run, because we don't have anything like that. And it don't have to be black specific, but it has to represent a progressive minority, because right now we don't have any. We always choosing between the lesser of two evils, because the older people, and it's not even older as in like 40s, 50s, it's the 60-year-olds that's still like, when I hear, so I do my activism, my protests and things like that. And I still hear people of an older generation coming to me and they like, hey, little sister, let me tell you how it's done. I see what you're doing out there, but yeah, you might want to just, let the men come in and handle it. I don't want you to get hurt out here, baby. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Like, it's that mentality. The mentality has to change, but we still got that mentality in power. They won't let the new people like you. They had a debate. If you've been watching the Democratic convention, there was a whole debate on the fact that AOC got 60 seconds to speak, and they let some of the other Republicans come in and have 4 minutes, and they scared to let the progressives talk for long periods of time. And it's like, we aren't being heard. So how do we get in those positions? How do we stop being up under the toe and the foot of these older generations when we supposed to be the ones to live through this shit, whatever they do?
That's a great question.
Real quick,
They're
man.
also,
Go ahead, Artie.
So
I said they're also a lot of older generations afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
that's what I'm hearing. No problem. But just we're gonna go to URD. But yes, to talk, they just said they're absolutely afraid, because even when it was my uncle, praise God, who came to me and was like, be careful out there. You need something, let me know. It's like, no, I don't need you. But I respect that you have your ways and you think that your ways are best. And that mentality is, if we let these young people take the reins, where they gonna lead us? Are they mature enough? Do they know enough? It's kind of like that parent that feels like, did I raise my child enough to let them go and be on their own? And it's kind of like that distrust of like, I feel like I did a good job with you, but you a little wild. Like, so yeah, so I don't know. Go ahead, RD.
So to your point, I think the move is financing, again, playing Monopoly, like they say in spades. Well, I'm a Beer Whiz player. Spades is for children.
No, Beer Whiz is too old for me. I'll start learning when I'm 40.
That's fire. But because it's a strategy game, right? If you ain't got no spades, you can't play. But Beer Whiz, anything can be spades. So I like it. But in general, you have to play to win. So we can just like, and then we got to benchmark. Black people need to understand that term if they don't understand anything else. What has worked before? Benchmark. What has worked before? How can we leverage that in our space, in our lane, right? So looking at the alt-right, they infiltrated the conservatives, put money into the conservatives. Now they have an extremely right train of thought in that party. We know it ain't gonna be a party as long as it's a 1%. Not right? We can put some bread into our progressive, serious bread though. I'm talking about hip hop athlete LeBron bread into progressive. Put that juice behind them and say, hey, look, if you fuck with our candidate, if you don't, then we're not gonna fuck with you. And that's how we get our more left leaning stuff into play. But we're not playing Monopoly with it. We just, basically bitching on social media and then taking our ball and going home.
Yeah, basically. So I think we made a lot of great points today, honestly, just in the scope of time that we had to just talk about the different facets of Blackness and what it means to be a Black voter and our interests. And I think we all are on one accord when we say, get y'all asses out and vote. No matter what you feel, we got people who think like Jack and RD and Nate. We just want to take off and leave this bitch, but we still here though. And so get your asses out and vote. Please don't let because a no vote is a vote for Trump. Please understand that. I know a lot of people think that if you don't vote, shut the fuck up. Okay, right. Don't say nothing to me. Okay, I don't want to hear your story. I don't want to see your comments. I don't want to hear none of that. You have chosen to be silent. You have chosen to silence your voice through not voting. So please get out and vote. And I just want to thank all my panelists. I'm gonna let y'all say y'all finals, such and such. But this was so dope, y'all. Like just getting all this information, all these viewpoints. Everybody was, coming from different spaces, but we all kind of found that intersectionality that really we all need to find, groups of young and old, in the middle and in between, and young at heart and old at future. We all need to find some kind of way to make this work so it's not everybody's voice, but it's our voice, as a collective. So I just want to give an opportunity for everybody to give their shouts out and their last thoughts on the topic. So let's start with RD. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in general, as far as this conversation, we just got to play the game to win. The game is the game. You can be mad at it, but you either going to play it or you're not. But the game is going to be played without you if you don't play it. As far as my brand, it's IAG Statement Apparel, IamTheGrind.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BigBroRD, at BigBroRD, or at IamTheGrind as far as my brand. And I'm on Facebook under Arden RD Bowden Jr. So peace. I love being
wonderful.
Everybody. I love y'all conversation.
Thank you. Nate, shout out to the people.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah, man, it was really great talking to y'all. I really think we should do this a lot more. Yeah, vote no matter how you feel about the candidates. Vote, or else you're gonna be fucked up about this shit. You know, and my challenge to you is kind of unrelated, but also related. Find the oldest person you know in your family and ask them about the oldest person they know in the family. Get in touch with your ancestors.
Yes.
Let's go somewhere from there. Follow me at Nate John Mark on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Soon you will see Instagram and a website and a way that you can buy some of my infused honeys and teas and tinctures from God Mode Botanicals. Yes, sir.
Come on, infused honeys.
Yeah.
All right, Jack, sound off for the people.
All right. So first, I want to say I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for dealing with my technical difficulties. Next time, I'll have a little better setup. But in general, yes, vote. This is not really an option to not vote. I know I've been talking about I don't want to, but I know I have to. We can get real policy change done for 24, but right now we gotta get Trump out. In general, like I said earlier, buy black. I mean, and I mean that, like, buy from as many black entrepreneurs doing as many different things as possible. Consume as much black media as possible, because at the end of the day, the only people that are going to be able to help us out are each other. Even if we're not able to be exoditionists, we can still make America a better place for the people that built it. So yeah, I think that's the main thing. Buy black, man.
All right. T, sound off for the people.
I just want to first say thank you so much for having me on this wonderful panel. I enjoyed you, young people.
Don't call us young. She really isn't old. I'm telling y'all. Please don't let her confuse. She'll take a good 5-6 years and be like, these young folk here. Damn. I'm going to do a podcast about that. Being 30 is so fucking hard because the young people think you old as shit, but the older people like you too young. I don't know. I don't know where I am. I don't know if I'm young or old. But go ahead.
Honestly, I'm old enough to be all of your mothers. So
I'll give you auntie.
Yeah. No, I think I was mammy. But I was gonna say, I was just my key thing that I took away from this and what I want people to understand is go out and vote. Please do not say I'm not gonna vote because I don't agree with a candidate. If you don't vote, you're channeling your inner slavery. We are not slaves anymore. We are free, and we are and we can vote. So get out and exercise that right. Don't do that to our ancestors. They turning over in their graves when they know we're not doing what we're supposed to do. They fought so hard for it, honestly. People say that's just, they fought so hard, but I don't care nothing about that. That's terrible. That's disrespectful to your ancestors. So get out and vote. Remember to catch me on what I say our name was. What's the buzz?
What's the buzz? We're still working on the name, but what's the buzz? Cuz is the name.
Right.
Oh, here.
Still a work in progress. Our live is every Thursday from 7 to 9. My Facebook name is Tonja Harden, Tonja Harden, Harden. And my Instagram name is Ms. MS_T Lee. No, it ain't. I'm lying. It's wait, it's MS_ talk to T. TALK, the number 2, TEE. Dang.
You got mad at yourself for lying about yourself. And I said,
Rebranding.
We could have been just changing names all across the board.
Lord have mercy.
Lord, Jesus.
But thank you again for having me.
Yes, I appreciate all y'all, and to everybody who's watching, please don't be stupid. Wear your mask, and wear your gloves, and sanitize, you bastards. Please don't kill us all, and definitely don't just vote for the president. Vote for all the
down ballot.
down the ballot. Please make sure that you do your research on all local candidates, because like they were saying with Kim Worthy and all these people in our community that we need to really reevaluate. Y'all need to really get your research up and start looking into all the people, because it's not just the president that changes our lives. Right. It's the people who's putting us in jail. It's the prosecutors. It's the judges. It's the police officers and all these other people who we vote on to be in those positions. So please use your voice to vote. And if you're not educated, get educated on all the issues and the topics. It's the only way that we're going to thrive. And I love y'all. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is going to be a regular thing, 2020 Vision Podcast. We're about to be out here, you know, talking about the real issues, no chaser, and really getting down to what's going to progress our people and the values we hold near and dear. So just make sure y'all keep a lookout for all of this. And to all my guests, all my panelists, y'all been amazing. Y'all are great. Y'all are stunning. You's worthy. You's great. you smart.
Kind. You is smart. You is important.
You's important. And we need each and every one of you and your voices. So we're going to keep this going. And with just like that, there's another one, podcast, Vision 2020 Vision, all day, every day, magnificent. I see you, all my co-visionaries. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to this shit. You know, because if you don't, I'm going to do it anyway. So go ahead, do what you got to do to be a part of the vision, baby. But thank you so much, and we out.
Who said?
Yay.
Don't be a dumbass, don't be a dumbass. Don't be a dumbass, don't be a dumbass.
Hey, don't be a dumbass.
I like that one. That's a hit, Nate. That's a hit right there, boy.